Welcome to Michael Potts F1, every moment from every Grand Prix.
Normally, I'm a very slow morning waking up person, but my eyes, boom, woke up this morning. And I was like, oh my God, Christian Horner fired from Red Bull. Crazy news.
I'd gone to the chiropractor to kind of get my body back in shape after the British Grand Prix. And yeah, after half an hour there, 50 odd messages. It was incredible. Complete surprise. Wasn't expecting this at all.
I talk about Christian and Red Bull quite often. And, I am a little bit sad because he is such a personality and a figure in F1, 20 years at Red Bull. And you'd think that they've gone through hard times before. They haven't been winning every single year for those last 20 years. And he's kind of steered that ship and weathered the storm. And so I think that's also why the news came to me as such a shock because, yes, I talk about Red Bull and Max and everything going on there all the time. But to actually see something like this happen, it was just mind blowing.
Yeah, and there's been no reason given why he's been fired yet, as far as I can see. I saw he did an interview with Sky where he said that no one had told him why he was being let go. They've won 124 races, 100 pole positions, 8 drivers' championships, 6 constructors' championships. He's done an awful lot for that team. He's taken them from being absolutely nowhere as Jaguar Stewart to being this championship leading team, that one of the biggest budgets around. A huge campus in Milton Keynes. It's a remarkable direction that he's taken the team for a energy drinks company to be beating Ferrari and Mercedes on a regular basis is outstanding. And you would have thought that all of that history, 400 races, he's been to every race, that would have brought him some grace, and it looks like it hasn't.
Do you think that Red Bull did this as an attempt to try and keep Max at Red Bull? Because it's no secret that Yas and Christian and Helmut all don't really get along. Do you think that this is a tactic so that Max won't lead to Mercedes, as an example?
Yes, they've been in worse situations in previous years, and he's kept his job. So I really struggle to see why this is different. And I can see that they're going to put a lot more effort into next year's car. So this year might have been a year that they sacrificed strategically anyway. It's a very unusual decision to make, and one to make so abruptly.
So, Michael, we got to talk about, the team principal shuffle. So, firstly, there
Yes.
were rumors a few weeks ago that Fred Vasseur might be also on the chopping block and that Christian and Ferrari were having a chat, but Christian said his allegiance was with Red Bull. Is he going to
Yes.
phone them back and say, are you guys still interested? How do you think that conversation's going?
Yes, I think he's probably spent the whole morning talking to Marinella. I think Christian in red is not the strangest thing that we'll see next year.
But, Michael, what do you think about Laurent coming into Red Bull?
He's a brilliant team manager. He's done an incredible job at Racing Bulls. That team has come on leaps and bounds since he's taken over.
Yes, it's crazy because Silverstone was so action-packed, and then this news comes out, 2 days later. Can't keep up with all the stuff that's going on, but we have to unpack Silverstone because it was such an
Yes.
exciting race. What were your favorite moments from the weekend?
Silverstone always delivers. Silverstone always produces incredible racing. If you think back to the last 5 or 6 that we've had there, even maybe the last 10, I can't think of a dull Silverstone. They've always been so action-packed, and it's racing right up until the end. My highlight, I think, must have been Nico getting a podium. I followed him from his start of his career. The moment that he got that pole position in Brazil in the wet, he's been one of my favorite drivers. And throughout his career, he's been the second guy to huge breaks. He could have been at Ferrari when they took Carlos Sainz. He could have been at Red Bull when they took Checo. He could have been in so many different places, and he's always been the second guy or the third guy, just never getting the breaks that he should have got. And now he's a Formula One podium Lego trophy holder. So yeah, I'm super chuffed for him. The crowd went wild when he crossed the line. And this is a crowd that would have loved to have seen Lewis on the podium. They didn't share as much when Lando won the race. Nico got the crowd's appreciation for achieving something that's been hanging over him for such a long time.
Yes, as you know, very large self-professed Lando fan, but I also think that my favorite headline from the weekend was Nico getting on the podium and also the way that he reacted. You could almost tell he was in shock because he was almost not reacting. He was like it looked like he was a bit in a daze of like what was going on. Yeah, so happy for him. He seems so humble and just such a long time coming.
He came from 90 to get a podium from that position is just. I don't think he could have appreciated that this was going to be the race that he did it. Sauber have brought a lot of upgrades recently. The car's looking a lot better. Bortoleto was running in fifth in Austria, but to actually get a podium from the team that had 2 points last year, it's mind blowing. And it's a lot to do with Jonathan Wheatley coming. It's a lot to do with Matteo Binotto. Nico Hulkenberg has provided a lot of really, really good feedback. Bortoleto has fitted in great into the team. This is really what they needed to achieve at the start of the year because they were going through the cycle where they were bringing upgrades to the track and they weren't working. Pit stops weren't working. All of the things that you need to be a successful team, just the systems weren't there. And that's been the transformation. That's been the change.
What did you think about that penalty for Oscar?
I think he probably was driving erratically. So I think the penalty was probably right. I'm not sure if 10 seconds is the right amount. And I wonder if the stewards were judging the results of the incident rather than what actually happened. So the whole philosophy with Formula One's penalties is that the stewards are supposed to judge what the driver's done, not what's happened after they've done it. It's a very fine line. I think Oscar was driving erratically, but I think the penalty was probably a little bit too harsh. It should have been maybe a 5 second or something like that.
The Silverstone race, like you mentioned before, has brought so much action over the years, and I think a lot of the action is attributed to the weather. It was
Yeah.
like a tropical country, it seemed, in Silverstone that weekend, from thunderstorms to sunny to it was like from sprinkles, it had everything. And there were
Yeah.
obviously teams that capitalized, like Stake, but there were also teams that were very unfortunate, like V-Carb. Mercedes gambled on George in the beginning, which I thought was such a strange thing to do considering he started P4 to do something like that at the race start. And then Ferrari was kind of nowhere a bit.
Even Silverstone last year, McLaren should have won that race. Lando and Oscar were by far the fastest drivers, and they made terrible choices and lost the race.
That's right. So redemption for McLaren.
Yeah. Yeah. I think even this race, they probably were a little bit slower changing to slicks at the end, but they'd built up such a big buffer that they could afford to play it a bit safer.
One of the teams that should have been at the front but weren't again, which may be a reason as to why Christian Horner is no longer leading the team, is Red Bull. So, what did you think about Max and Yuki's performance?
Max's qualifying lap was incredible. So he went for that low downforce option and he produced one of the qualifying laps for the ages. It was superb. But they gambled on it not being raining during the race. All the weather reports beforehand looked like it was going to stop raining at about 3 o'clock. So maybe he would have had a little bit of rain to start, but then it should have dried out and he probably would have been okay. But that spin cost him a lot and he just looked like he was having a terrible time. Yuki looked like I've never seen a car go around the track that looks depressed. He was driving it in a way that the car looked sad. It just looked like it was just not wanting to be there. I don't know what's going to happen with him now that this management structure has been thrown up in the air. Could this mean that he's out as well, or could it be changes that maybe they set the car up so it's better for him? I really don't know. Laurent's worked with Yuki for a number of years. Hopefully that will help him. What
Yes, it would be so sad if Yuki was no longer on Red Bull. And I think it's clear that it's a car problem, not a driver problem at this point. And the only driver that can master it is Max. But he's also been on the team for so long and the car's been built around him. So, of course, he's going to have a leg up on other drivers that are trying to figure out this insanely hard car to drive. But yes, it's a car problem.
The other really cool thing with Silverstone is the amount of people that came to it. It is like Glastonbury for petrol heads. There was so many people.
It was our first time to London for F1, and we've been to races in North America and other parts of Europe, but the energy and love for F1 in the UK is different. It's just so integrated into their everyday life. I think walking around London, you see all the ads that the drivers are in, and it's in every single store and everyone is talking about it, and different teams are taking over landmarks in the city. And so you can really feel like that deep generational love of F1, and it was really, really, really cool to see. And yeah, I think I read a stat that 500,000 people were in Silverstone. This place, I mean, the traffic is insane. It doesn't support 500,000 people.
So there was a huge stage, a huge fan zone where they had concerts the whole weekend. It really was this massive festival. Lots of fan zones, lots of different very cool engagements by the teams and the brands. And yeah, I think everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves despite the traffic. It's a really good race to go to. And if you get a chance, Silverstone is one of the ones that are must see.
So, Michael, you get the opportunity to see a lot of celebrities that get to go to races, and you must tell us about the Gordon Ramsay story about him trying to cook in a car.
So he was doing something, I don't know what he was trying to do, but he was doing something with scones. So he had a tray of scones, had some jam and some cream, and he gets into a hot lap car. You did the hot laps in Miami, so you know how fun that is and how the drivers really push it to the limit. So Gordon's in the passenger seat. He's trying to set up his scones, and they're going around the corners with a huge amount of G-force and inertia. When he got out, he was just covered in flour and jam, and scones were everywhere. The car was a mess. So yeah, look.
Sounds like a, no pun intended, recipe for disaster.
But yeah, so now we've got a 2 week break. It's firing season, apparently. We might also be seeing some shakeups in the drivers' market. There's rumors that Franco might not be there for Belgium. Possibly they're going to bring in Paul Aron or Valtteri Bottas. Ferrari has rumors going around. Maybe we'll see things changing there. It's a really interesting time to have this little 2 week break. Clearly, the Formula One teams have far too much time on their hands, and they're all getting up to mischief. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this all falls out.
Yeah, cannot wait. We also can't forget Max. What's going on with Max and Mercedes? There's that also chatter that's happening right now. So it's not even silly season yet. We're still a month
Yes.
away, but it is definitely started.
We both made predictions before the start of this race, and neither of us got it right because no one alive would have predicted Nico Hulkenberg. So I think we get a pass on that one.
Yes, that's true.
I also have a question for Nico. How does it feel after 15 years of F1 to get a podium and it's made out of Lego that you can just pull apart?
I love Lego.
Thank you so much for joining us for this recap of the Silverstone Grand Prix. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to see some more photographs from the race, there's a link in the description below. And if you're not following Natasha on Milkshake, there's a link to all of her content in the description below. And if you haven't yet, please do like and subscribe. The next race is the Belgium Grand Prix from Spa-Francorchamps. So until then, goodbye.